What's going on, guys? Back again. If you haven't watched the part 1 to this video, I'll leave a link in the description. Basically, I'm just trying to build it's like an old school gaming PC, and everything's going fine except that it's not installing any operating system. Now, I've checked everything, I've checked the RAM and everything, and the only thing I could think that's possibly causing the problem, it's just spitting out random errors, doing just random stuff, like try and throw in, say, a copy of Windows XP, it just doesn't install, it just freezes. Windows 98 will just spit out random errors. Sometimes I'll be able to get to this screen, sometimes not, and it just gives me just random failures and stuff. And I think it's down to these bad capacitors on the board. Now they're 3,300 microfarad at 6.3 volts, and even just googling, I just typed in the spec on them, and a lot of just going into pictures on Google, just a lot of them have come up, they're all busted, they're all on motherboards and stuff, so I'm assuming that these are the ones that seem to go bad all the time on these older motherboards. So I'm going to run out and get some replacement capacitors, and I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so I just got back from the shop and they didn't have any. They don't carry any 3300 microfarad capacitors at all, which is kind of annoying. They thought they had some 16 volt ones, which would have been a little bit bigger, but yeah, they didn't have any. But luckily, I just thought of something about 5 minutes ago. I have this other system here, which is also a Pentium 4, but this board's not really worth fixing. Sort of an older board with no SATA or anything, and the integrated video isn't very good, and it's also got a blown BIOS by the looks of it. It just keeps on searching for a floppy, which tells me that the BIOS is gone. And I was looking up information about this board, there's hardly any information apart from the fact that the BIOS on it does get corrupted pretty easily. And I'm just going to pinch these bigger capacitors here. They're a different brand, they look fine. This board's just got a 1.6 GHz Pentium 4, same socket. Power supply is also nearly dead in it too, had the same problem as this other one here. It's only got an 8 megabyte graphics card, and I really only kept this one for the case. It's a small form factor, but it's full height PCI, which will be very handy because I'm planning on actually using this case for a media center. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out this old board I'll do this one first, it's a bit easier to get it out, and I'll pull off all the caps and we'll go from there. So I've just connected all the cables and everything from it, and as you can see, try to get that focus. If you've never taken out a motherboard before, it's actually pretty easy. You've got, basically the way the board's held in is it's got these things called standoffs. They are these little guys. Basically they're just a screw and a screw. Pretty simple. And actually there's one right there. Just here. And they screw into a thread on your back plate there, and then you sit your motherboard on top once you've lined up the screws with the holes in the board, and you just put screws in it and screw it down. Sorry, this is only a kit lens, so it's really horrible at focusing. Well, autofocusing anyway. See? All the way down in there. Now, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to get my screwdriver, undo all these. I've already taken off the CPU and the heatsink just to make a bit more room, make it easy when I'm desoldering it, and it should just pop out. Back a little bit. Okay, so I've got the board out now, and sadly there's only 2 capacitors on here that are the right size. I thought a few of them were, but there's only 2 on here after I checked them, and they are these 2 right here. Yeah, so what I've done is I've just circled on the bottom there which ones I need to desolder, and basically what I'm going to do is using my soldering iron and my solder sucker, wherever I put it, which is this dude here. I'm just going to heat it up, and then while it's still hot, it's just suck the solder out from there. So I found 3 more capacitors, and you'll never guess where I got them from. Some of you might be screaming murder at the moment. It's an original Xbox. This is a T-sopped board. I think it's a 1.3 or something, I don't know. It's got a focusing video encoder. But yeah, this is one of my older consoles. It still works, still boots fine. The super capacitor's still okay on and everything, so I just pinched these 3 or 4 actually. Did I pull a 4? No, just 3. Yeah, just these 3 along here. Pull them off. They were the same rating, same farad rating, same voltage and everything. Got these slightly bigger ones here. They're still the same farads, they're just 10 volts, so they're a bit bigger, they're about 1.5 centimeters. But I thought I'd just leave them. This board's for parts anyway, I'm just going to use it to take the RAM off, because it's had a pretty hard life. Okay, so new capacitors are all installed. That one and that one, and the 3 up the top there. Here we have the old ones. Thankfully only one of them had leaked onto the board. Another one had, one of those top ones did leak, but it only seemed to get on the heatsink there a little bit. There's no corrosion on the board. So here's what the old ones look like. I can get that to focus. Yeah, they're pretty well screwed. All the pictures I've seen on the internet of busted capacitors on older motherboards all seem to be these cheap brown Chinese ones. What brand are they? KZG. So must be real cheap, nasty ones. But as you can see, as well, I was talking about with the heatsink. Normally these heatsinks just have fins that go one direction, and they're just a solid, I think they're just some sort of alloy, aluminum block. But this one is much, it's a bit more like a newer style sort of heatsink. It's got a copper base, cylindrical base. It's got a hole straight through it, much like on the stock coolers for your i7s and stuff. It's got a round copper base, and then it's got alloy, well, it could be steel, either one, just plain metal, but it sort of goes around like a circle pattern rather than just straight through, because the way the fan works on top blows the air through. Okay, now we get this bloody thing to focus. There we go. Yeah, so it's a nice board. We've got 2 PS/2 ports, got a, looks like a parallel port, video port, VGA, D-sub, whatever you want to call it. We've got 6 USB 2.0 ports, I'm guessing just 100 megabit Ethernet, and standard audio. This board does have 5.1 audio, but I think you have to connect it up separately to the header on the board. And we also have, down the bottom here, we have a COM port. This thing just does not want to work today. There we go, we have a COM port. Actually, switch it back to manual. We have a COM port there. Various little bits. We've got, what are they? The AUX for the CD, which I thought didn't have it, but there we go. I've got 2 SATA, I won't be using them. I've actually disabled the SATA in the BIOS anyway. Sorry, that was my phone. I got USB up the front, just USB 2.0, floppy connector, dual IDE, power connector, that's just DDR. I think max is out at 400 megahertz or something, not very fancy, but North Bridge, yeah, it's North Bridge, yeah, and yeah, it's only got AGP, 3 legacy PCI ports, and 1 PCI Express by 1 slot. So yeah, I'm going to throw this back in and give it a go. Okay, so I've got the board back in. It's looking pretty nice. It's got a hard drive that's sitting there. And ta-da! Before we didn't even get through the first stage of the setup for Windows 98, it would just freeze. But it installed everything, installed in about 5 minutes, and there you have it. So if you're having any troubles with an old system, an old motherboard that just won't install anything, probably a good bet to check the capacitors on the board and just have a look there. I believe it was just causing just a power issue in between the, I think it's the North Bridge and the RAM and everything. It's just not writing files to and from it properly, but it seems to be working fine now. So I will be uploading this half of it, this little repair bit, and the next part will probably be setting up the operating system and everything for it. So if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and see you next time.